Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's talk about Moses Itauma, because I constantly hear, he can beat Mike Tyson's record as the youngest heavyweight champion ever. And, I think he should go for it. But look, first of all, I don't care about this record, about him beating this record. I think it's completely meaningless. And secondly, I think it would be an absolute mistake for him to, at the age of only, has he turned 20? I think he has just turned 20. For him to jump into world level when he's currently only got the record that he's got. Now, I know he's a massively talented kid, without question. But as things stands, he has 11 wins with 9 KOs, no draws, no defeats. He turned pro in 2022. And if he wants to beat Mike Tyson's record, I think it's May 2025. Tyson, of course, the youngest ever holder of a full-fat, legitimate belt, which was the WBC belt. He knocked out Trevor Berbick, world-class, hard journeyman, was not a bum. I know he got done in a round by, was it Bernardo Mercado? I guess he hung his chin out and Mercado chinned him. He literally hung it out. He said, go and hit me, and Mercado hit him and knocked him out. But apart from that, I don't think he'd been stopped prior to that, or prior to Tyson knocking him out in 2 rounds. It was an iconic moment. If you're old enough to remember it happening and watching it, it was incredible. It was like, probably the greatest heavyweight ever had arrived. That's what it seemed like. Of course, that proved not to be the case. But it was a really exciting moment on a big stage. And yeah, you knew that you were seeing someone who was world class. And it was a very, very special moment watching what Mike Tyson did to Berbick. Although Berbick fought suicidally, tactics were ludicrous. He tried to meet Tyson in the centre of the ring and beat him up, and we know what happened. That knockdown, the 3 knockdowns with 1 punch or whatever it was. And Berbick had been battered in the first round. He was on the verge of going in the first round. But anyway, if you look at Moses Itauma's record, like I say, he's had 11 fights. Now, this year he had 4 fights. 2 of them were first round knockouts. The last one was against Dempsey McKean, which was only this month, because as I'm doing this video, it's New Year's Eve, 2024. Massively impressive. And the other 2 fights this year were first round knockouts. Prior to that, in 2023, he had, did I say he turned pro in 2022? Because that's wrong. He turned pro in 2023. I'm getting my years mixed up. But anyway, prior to that, he had 3 consecutive first-round knockouts against journeyman, nondescript opposition. And that was preceded by a couple of 6-round decisions over journeyman. And, no problem with that at all. But he's going 6 rounds with journeyman. That's the most he's ever been, 6 rounds against real low-level guys, tough guys, but low-level guys. And he fought those in his 3rd and 4th contests. Prior to that, he had 2 first-round knockouts, facile victories, where he did the opponents in, half a minute or whatever it was. So that's his record, all right? 7, is it 7, did I say? No, 5 first-round knockouts, was it? No, yeah, 7 first-round knockouts. 2 6-round points decisions over tough but low-level guys. All of these have been low-level guys, except arguably Dempsey McKean. Even Marius Vac, who Itauma knocked out in 2 rounds in July. He was, he's ancient now. He's in his mid-40s. He's way out of shape. And all those, he once had an incredible chin, but he's an old man. So when he was interviewed, Itauma, his manager, Francis Warren, joined the interview, and they were talking about who you're going to face next. And inevitably, the interviewer mentioned Mike Tyson's record. And Francis Warren said, Kubrat Pulev. And Itauma's immediate reaction was, oh no, he's old, man, he's old, come on, no, don't want that. And Francis Warren said, yeah, but he's got the WBA regular belt. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Does anyone think that Kubrat Pulev, who recently beat, what was it now? Can't think of his name. But anyway, he won the WBA belt against this long reigning champion whose name shouldn't escape me, but does. And does anyone think he's really the heavyweight champion of the world? Does anyone think Kubrat Pulev has more right to call himself heavyweight champion of the world, or even the WBA champion over Oleksandr Usyk? Because if you do, I've got some swampland you might want to buy. I've got some used toilet paper you might want to lease out. But to be honest with you, this is ludicrous to me. A guy with 11 fights who only turned pro, whatever it was, 18 months ago, whatever it was. No, actually, it was more than that. It was the start of 2023 that he turned pro. Does anyone think that this is the right way to bring a heavyweight on? With that record. And I know he's massively talented in terms of raw materials, but he's a kid. And we all know, first of all, and I'm not comparing in any shape or form Moses Itauma to Mike Tyson, inside or outside the ring. They're very different fighters, and for all I know, they may be very different personalities. But there is such a phrase as too much too young, okay? And to put Itauma into that mix, to say, well, he's got the WBA belt, it's a regular belt, but look, he's the youngest ever heavyweight champion. Completely nonsensical statement. It would be a completely nonsensical statement to make. Do I think he'd beat Kubrat Pulev? Of course I do, yeah. Kubrat Pulev is 40 plus or whatever he is. And no, it's foolishness, absolute foolishness. Now, Kubrat Pulev might give Moses Itauma a few rounds, which would be a good thing, because that's what he needs. But why is there this rush just because of this stupid desire for Itauma to beat Mike Tyson's record? Who cares about that? Once you step into world level, and I think it's arguable that at this point of his career, Kubrat Pulev is world level. I mean, he may be a fringe contender still, but once you step there, you can't step out. Once you've got this silly belt that puts you in the record books, ooh, wow, look, youngest ever heavyweight champ. Do you think anyone's going to seriously think that Moses Itauma, that achievement of beating Pulev for that silly belt is in any shape or form superior to Mike Tyson knocking out Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds? You really think that? Do you think anyone's going to think that? They'll laugh at you. Anyone who knows anything about boxing will laugh at you, especially in America. I mean, not that I'm specifically concerned about the American view, but they would be totally justified in laughing at if you made that statement. So I think that this is real foolishness. All this talk is just nonsense, really. And I really don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think this is such a daft idea. But when you move into as I was saying, when you move into world class, you can't really come out of it. You can't. What's he going to do? Drop down to fighting for the EBU title? No, he's going to have to start facing, if he wants to hold that daft belt and not just win it for the sake of winning it, he's going to have to fight proper contenders. So if he doesn't do that, then, I mean, it's pointless to me. It's just pointless. I don't see it. I don't get it. Bring the kid on as you will, as you should. Bring him on. And yet I know that we're talking about Frank Warren, who no one is better at bringing on these young kids than Frank Warren. And that's great, And yes, I know there is another argument that says, well, who are you going to put Itauma in with? Dempsey McKean was meant to take him rounds. Marius Vag was meant to take him rounds. They never did. But, okay, I get it. It's difficult to match him. But don't be just doing gimmicks. And that's what this is. Beating Mike Tyson's record is a gimmick. All right. If you think Kubrat Pulev will take him rounds and you can pick up this daft belt along the way, okay. But does it really matter? Does beating Tyson's record matter? I think people are concentrating way too much on this, and it is a gimmick, rather than saying this kid is an absolute diamond. And if you know anything about diamonds, I used to work for what's called the CSO, Central Selling Organisation. I don't even know if it still exists. This was in 87, 88 when I was a kid. I was younger than Moses Itauma, I think. But I used to work for them. They were the marketing arm of De Beers Diamonds. If you know anything about diamonds, you know, there are very, very valuable diamonds, and there are diamonds that are worth a lot. And you can go all the way down to where a diamond can be as big as your fist and it's worthless. They crush them down, and it's called bought. They crush them down, and they use them on lathes and stuff like that. Well, Moses Itauma is one of those absolute perfect diamonds in terms of talent. But you have to when you get a rough diamond, you got to shape it, you got to cut it, you got to cleave it correctly. Well, you wouldn't cleave it because you wouldn't chop it in half, but you know, they do with some diamonds to get the nasty bits out, the little bits of carbon that are in them. But Moses Itauma is a clear diamond. If you're going to polish him, you got to do it correctly. Because, like I said before, you might get someone who's got all the ingredients to be naturally a brilliant fighter. But unless you know, if you're a great chef, to use another analogy, and you've got the ingredients, you've got to know how to bake the cake. You've got to know how to maximize these great ingredients, put them together correctly, bake it for the right time, and so on. Gimmicks like running around beating Tyson's record when you're not even really beating it is just bullshit to me. I hate it. But anyway, you may have a different view, but let me know what you think. Comments below, and you may disagree. That's absolutely fine if you disagree. That's fine. But Itauma, 11 fights, 7 first-round knockouts against nobodies, a couple of 6-round decisions last year, 2023. He needs more. He needs more time. You know, fast track him, yeah, but do it sensibly. And if he doesn't beat Mike Tyson's record, who gives a damn? But again, you may disagree, so leave your comments. Thank you very much for watching the video. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button if you like the video. Let me know what you think, and I shall give it all a read and answer what I can. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. As always, I appreciate your support. Thank you. Bye for now.